Hello, 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 everyone. Hello. My name is Linda Peavy, and I am the owner of LaPav Consulting, LLC. And I'm going to be your hostess for this afternoon. So when you come in, give me a shout out. Let me know what city and state you're coming in from. I am in Ohio, where not too far from Cleveland in Northeast Ohio. So, hey, we've got Nikki from Tyler, Texas, and the ATL is represented with KK. Hey, Natasha in, is it Miami, Greensboro, North Carolina? We have with James and Julia from the Big D, Dallas, by way of Buffalo. Hey, we've got, is it NR Swanks in Houston? Oh, Texas is representing today. Oh, we've got Gabrielle from Chi-Town, Chicago, and Rhonda from Chicago. Hey, Jemiah, Chicago is representing today. All right. So thank you. Thank you so much for coming on with me today. Again, my name is Linda Peavy. I am the owner of LaPav Consulting. I'm going to be your host for this afternoon. And those of you who know me know this is going to be a no fluff zone. I'm going to be dropping all kinds of gems and serving tea to you this afternoon. So get ready. We are going to go swiftly because I have a lot of information to share with you, because we're going to be talking about how you can secure grants for your Black-owned business or even your Black-led nonprofit. So the first thing I'm going to do is share my screen. And as always, I'm like, come through technology, come through for me. You're going to see like a brief 30-second TV commercial, my TV commercial, which will just give you a little bit more background about me and what I do. And then we're off to the races. We are going to get started. We'll do a little bit of housekeeping, and then we are going to move right along with the presentation. All right, so come on through, technology, come on through. All right, excellent. Here we are, and we are ready to go.
Hi, I'm Linda Peavy, owner of LaPav Consulting. My passion is to place your organization on the path to excellence. Are you struggling to communicate your message, reach target audiences, or secure funding? From marketing communications to grant writing, we achieve your goals. We've worked with high-profile clients and have secured $17 million in funding for charter schools and nonprofits. Call today to discuss what your success looks like and how LaPav Consulting can help.
All right, so that's a little bit more about me. And as we get started, I want to make sure everybody is in the right place. So this is grant writing for Black-owned businesses and Black-led nonprofits. And this is my live, yes, I am live, noon session. I have another session this afternoon at 7:00 p.m. So if you know anyone who wants to drop into that 7 p.m. session, we are going to have the link into the chat a little bit later. But I want to make sure everybody is in the right spot, and we are going to get started. So again, I have a lot of information to share. We are going to go fast. So just so you know, this entire webinar is being recorded, all right? And you are going to get a free replay. So don't worry if you can't snapshot all of the screens. You will get a free replay. All right. And for questions, I always have plenty of questions, right? Drop your questions into either the chat or the Q&A, because at the end, and don't go anywhere, because at the end I have a surprise for you, and we're going to do an in-depth Q&A. And people who know me know I get through every question. Like, you can't ask enough questions. They are going to be answered. So make sure as I move along, you drop your questions into the chat or the Q&A. All right, we're off to the races. Yes, they call me the grants queen because I have secured over $17 million in funding and business development. And you know there's a difference between writing the grant and securing the money. And I've been able to secure over $17 million for my clients. I am the owner of LaPav Consulting, LLC. This is literally my 15th year of owning my own company. And for almost all of those 15 years, I have been writing grants. I have not only been writing grants, but I've been literally hired to write the grant application. I've been hired to score grant applications. I provide grant writing workshops all over the country. I provide quite a few for the Urban League and Council of Small Enterprises, President's Council, you name it. I'm also a very proud alumnus of the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program. I'm also the former executive director of a nonprofit. So I want to know who's with me today. Are you a for-profit or are you a nonprofit? Or, and this is what I'm finding, a lot of for-profits are beginning to start nonprofit organizations. So let me know if you're both, right? So into the chat, let me know if you are for-profit, a nonprofit, or both. I want to see who is here with me today. All right, who do we have? Who do we have with me? Wow, a lot of boats, a lot, which is great, right? Nonprofit, for-profit, nonprofit. So what you need to know is that it doesn't matter if you are a nonprofit or for-profit. This webinar is going to help you. And I'm going to say it again because people always ask me this throughout this webinar. Yes, you as a Black-owned for-profit can get grant money, can get grant funding, okay? So yes, we're going to talk about grants for nonprofits and for-profits, all right? So let's get started. A little bit more about me. So I was a publishing executive in Pennsylvania for over 10 years, and I got hurt and literally had to come back home to Cleveland, which is where I was born and raised. Literally came home in a wheelchair because I couldn't stand, I couldn't walk. And it took me 2 years to recuperate. And after those 2 years, I couldn't find a job, right? Because all of my experience was in marketing, but publishing, right? And as you can imagine, Cleveland, Ohio is not exactly like the publishing mecca of the United States. So I found myself without a job. But what did I do? I started my own, as we often have to do, right? So I started my own, and this is the 15th year. And one of my first contracts as the owner of Pop Consulting was become an executive director of a nonprofit. And so I started the job, and literally within the first week of me starting that job, I was told by the board of directors that I had to write a grant to literally save my position, right? Now, of course, they didn't tell me this when they were interviewing me, right? But I had to write a grant to save the job of the executive director, my job, which meant I was saving the organization. And as you can imagine, oftentimes, and we're keeping it real today, we, people that look like us, are called in to save the day. And sometimes it's saving a project or saving a program. Sometimes it's saving the entire organization. So if you know what I mean, give me a yes, right, in the chat. But you know what? I did it. I learned how to write grants because I wanted to save my job, which ended up saving the organization, right? I learned how to write grants. So, oh, I'm getting a lot of yeses, wonderful stuff. You know what I mean? You guys know what I mean, right? We are often called in, we, people that look like us, right, are called in to save the day. But I did it. And I learned that there's a connection between writing a grant and getting free money. You're going to hear that word all afternoon, free, free, free. Free money, right? And this is what I want to show you today, that connection. How do you write the grants so that you can get free grant funding? We're going to cover why this class is important, 3 keys to funding, grant basics. How do you prepare to write? Where do you write? How do you write? If we have time, we'll talk about bid proposals, but getting noticed in a sea of applications. How do you find the grant, right, for a Black-owned organization? And then I'm going to give you a list of grants that you can apply to. So don't go anywhere at the end. We're going to do that in-depth Q&A, right? And then I have a bonus for you. So let's get started. Why is this class important? Because we as Black entrepreneurs and nonprofit leaders, we need help with funding. And guess what? It shouldn't always be about loans, right? Grants are free money. However, grant writing is a skill. I am a professional grant writer. Grant writing is a skill, and it can be costly because people at my level, we charge anywhere between $100 to $200 an hour to write grants. But guess what? You can learn this skill to place your organization in a position to get this free grant money. Because at the end of the day, nobody is going to tell your story better than you, no one. But guess what? Grant writing has changed. So many people are so scared of the word grant writing. It's completely different now than it was even 2 years ago. No longer are you sitting there writing this 200-page soliloquy, right? For months at a time. No, literally, I took a class 3 weeks ago because you never stop learning. Taught me how to write a grant using AI in like an hour. You can do this. You can write grants and they're not 200 pages. Most of the for-profit grants that I've seen are 3 to 4 pages long, right? And no, it doesn't take months and months and months. It takes hours, right? So everything has changed. What you need to know is the process, right? And that's what I'm going to teach you this afternoon is the process. Make sure you drop those questions into the Q&A or the chat. Now, we're going to go over what do you write? How do you write what you write? And then this is so important. How do you attract the right funder, the funder that wants to give you money, right? Because it makes all the difference in the world. Now, 2 different incidents completely changed the landscape of philanthropy. One was COVID-19. When COVID-19 happened, so many small businesses went under. You probably know an organization that had to close, that had to shutter their doors. But small businesses, we are the backbone of the economy in this country. So when we were closing at alarming rates, foundations and major corporations took note. And they said, we have to do something about this. So they started to create pools of free grant money for businesses. Typically, when you heard of the word grant, what did you think about? A nonprofit. No more, right? Because of COVID-19, there's this grant money available for us as small businesses. So I'm glad I have nonprofits and for-profits with me today because there's money for all of us. Now, you may see a few COVID-19 grants available. If you do, just keep in mind that you should be talking about how COVID-19 affected you. Did you have to close? Did you have to lay off workers, right? But we're going to talk about far more than just COVID-19 grants. The other incident was the George Floyd incident. So when George Floyd was murdered, once again, foundation leaders and major corporation leaders saw what everybody else saw and said, we have to do something, right? And so they wanted to do something to address racial injustice in the country. And what did they do? What did they have plenty of? Money. So they decided to create, once again, pools of grant funding, free money that is now available to minority-owned organizations, minority-owned small businesses, minority-led nonprofits. I can tell you in the 15 years that I've been writing grants, I have never, ever seen the amount of money that is available right now to us as Black-owned organizations or Black-led organizations, right? So you're in a tremendous position to get some of all of the grant money that is available right now. Okay, so now we're on to grant basics. What do you need to know? Grants are not paid back. Now, for the next minute, I'm only talking to nonprofits. If you are a nonprofit, you must get your 501c3, right? Because foundations will require that you have it to give you grant funding. What is it? That's your tax exempt charitable organization designation by the IRS. It means that you're tax exempt, but also those of your donors who provide money to you, they can write off those donations as tax deductible and charitable deductions, which is great. Now, you need the 501c3 to get grant funding. Please try to avoid using fiscal agents. What is a fiscal agent? That is an organization that already has their 501c3. So you don't have yours, you're using a fiscal agent. They're using their 501c3. So if they're trying to get a grant, the grant money for you is going through your fiscal agent. So they're getting the money and hopefully they'll give that money to you, right? But that's exactly why foundations don't want to deal with fiscal agents, right? Because if they're giving you money based on your program or your service, they want the money to go directly to you, not through a third party. So nonprofits, get your 501c3. Here's the good news. It used to take the IRS 3 to 6 months to process those applications. Now it is taking 6 to 8 weeks, right? So get your 501c3. All right. So drop those questions. I see them into the chat and the Q&A. All right. Now I want you to look closely at this screen. This is just from foundation giving, right? People thought, oh, we're in a pandemic. There's no money. Giving is down. Did you know that in a calamity, giving actually increases? And so look at this number from just foundation giving. We're not even talking about corporate giving, just foundation giving in 2021 increased to what? $90.88 billion. This is 1 year, over $90 billion. Can you imagine what you could do with just a little bit of $90 billion, right? We're not trying to be greedy. We don't need the whole $90 billion. So I want everybody into the chat. I just need a little bit. Into the chat. I just need a little bit. I just need a little bit. Can you imagine what you could do with just a little bit of $90 billion? How about finally opening? How about not bootstrapping anymore? How about not asking family and friends for money? How about not using your own money, right? Because we know it's available, right? Into the chat. That's right. That's right, Corey, Brenda. I just need a little bit. Yannick, we're not trying to be greedy, right? Tavares, William, we're not trying to be greedy. We just need a little bit of this money, Gabrielle, just a little bit, just a little bit. Think about it. What you could do with just a little bit of $90 billion. I'm going to show you how to get just a little bit of the $90 billion. Now, first things first, we are going to prepare to apply for grants. This is where too many organizations make a mistake, right? They look at the grant application, they download it, they complete it, they send it off, and they wonder why they get the rejection letter. You have to prepare to write grants. Now, all I want you to do is just hone up on your writing skills, because I do not want you submitting grant applications that are full of grammatical errors, right? There's 5 basic writing skills. We're only going to deal with number 5, editing and rewriting. Grammarly is your friend, right? We love Grammarly. Grammarly is a software editing tool. And guess what? Here's that word again. It is free. So please, this is your first cup of tea and this is your homework. You are to download Grammarly onto your computer. It is completely free. Now, there's a professional version that I use. That's about $150 a year, but the free version is fine. It is a software editing tool because I want you to be able to make sure that when you are submitting your grants, right, they're not full of grammatical errors. And this article by Grammarly, I want you to download because it will help you. I'm a professional editor and professional writer. I use this article. This article has helped me. It will help you, right? So download the article. It's being dropped into the chat because it will help make you a better writer. And if you are using Grammarly, give yourself some love. Give yourself a shout out into the chat if you are using Grammarly, because it is fantastic. Oh, I see some people already that are saying they use it. Ebony uses it. Tavares uses it. Marja uses it. Ebony uses it. Excellent, excellent. Julia, yes, using the professional edition. That's what I use. It is like, oh, it is fire. And I think it's about $120 a year. Well worth the investment, but if you're on a budget, download the free version. Next, we're preparing to write grants. You need to get your documentation in order. You need your employer identification number. Nonprofits, you need your 501c3 letter. Don't use a fiscal agent. Now, for for-profits, this is very important. You need to make sure that you have your state certification, or what's called your business license, right? In other words, you are in good standing to do business in your state. Now, what I have since found out is that every state is different. I'm in Ohio. So in Ohio, you are required to have a business license, right? But you may be in a state where you don't need one. I was literally giving this webinar late last year, and a young lady came on and she said, Linda, you're absolutely right. I was applying for a grant. I'm a for-profit. The competition was stiff. She said I was the only one that got the grant because I was the only one that could prove that I was in good standing to do business in the state. I had my state certification. What I need for you to do, more homework, go to your Secretary of State's website. Okay, your Secretary of State's website. and go under business and just make sure that you have a current business license, right, in your state. So that's more homework. What else do you need? You need a list of your board, list of your staff. Letters of support become important because foundations want to know that there's other organizations that support you. Who are they coming from? They could be your pastor, your church, your vendors. Maybe you know politicians, the mayor, right? Other community leaders, and you need to give them time to get those letters together, right? Because you're going to attach them to the grant application. Next, your audited financial statement. Now, not all grant applications require an audited financial statement, but if they do, you need your CPA to create one for you. That's your certified public accountant. Next, you need an operating budget. And for you startups, yes, you need one too. All of you should have an operating budget. Why is it important? Because at the end of the day, you need to know how much money this is going to cost you to start your organization, right? So you need to create a budget. And when you're creating that budget and you're creating those line items, let's say you want to start a daycare center, right? And you may have money for the lease, you may have money to hire employees, but when you start creating that budget, you realize, oh my gosh, I didn't think about marketing. I need money for marketing. Okay, that's where I'm going to apply for the grant. It will show you your financial gap so that you know where you are applying for grant funding. So even you startups, yes, you need an operating budget. Next, you need a list of any other funding sources that you have. This is important because foundations do not want to be your sole source of financial support, right? Why? Because grants are not guaranteed. Just because you get a grant in year one does not mean you're going to get that grant in year two. And foundations don't want to shoulder the responsibility of knowing, well, if I don't give them a grant in year two, they're going out of business. No, that's why you need multiple resources. So if you have any other funding, right, that you've received, it could be a grant, it could even be a sponsorship. It doesn't even have to be money. It could be an in-kind donation. Make sure that you're listing it on your grant application. All right, so next we're going to go through the typical components that you find on a grant application. Then we're going to delve into them one by one. So your summary, mission, history, leadership, how you describe your organization, your statement of need, and how you describe whatever it is. It could be a program, project, or service. Community partnerships, your results, which are your outputs, outcomes, impact, your staff. Now this leadership means your board, right? Your budget, and then sustainability. All right, we're off to the races. We're getting started. Summary, what do you need to know? It is the first component of your grant application, but do not be fooled. You always write it last. Why? Because it's going to include the most compelling components of the grant application. You're putting them into the summary and the abstract. So even though you see it first, you always write it last. Next, your mission vision. Now, all of you should have a mission statement, but do you have a vision statement? If not, this is more homework for you. You will need a vision statement. What is it? It is what you would like to have happen in the future if you are attaining your mission statement, right? What is your mission? Well, that's what you're doing now, your hopes, your aims, your goals, right? And the mission becomes critical because this is how you start to find your perfect funder. You align those mission statements because if your mission is all about K through 12 education, you want to make sure that the foundation that you're seeking, they also have a mission or a vision or a value statement that is geared towards K through 12 education. So this is how you are finding your funder. That mission statement is so important. But if you don't have a vision statement, that's more homework for you. Next, history. What you need to know is that even if you are new, you still have a history. Every organization has a history, right? If you are new, you are including the impetus for why you started the organization because that becomes a part of the history. I like to use the example of the retired principal of the high school, right? She was a high school principal, she retired, she started a tutoring organization. Why? Because when she was a principal, she saw that the students in high school were underperforming in reading and math. And so she decided that when she retired, she wanted to start a tutoring organization that would come back and help those students. Well, her impetus for starting the tutoring organization was her experience as a principal. So it's okay for you to put in your previous experiences if they led up to you starting your organization. So that history should never be left blank, even if you are new. Leadership. Here, you're just putting in like your CEO, your COO, but be sure to include the board because the board is part of your leadership. Next, you're describing your organization. This is really where you have to toot your horn. We oftentimes have difficulty really praising what we do and sharing our success stories. This is where you have to, right? And I want you to be able to talk about your track record, your impact, how you've helped people, use numbers, right? If you have a ministry where you are providing food, right? How many tons of food do you provide in a year? If you're helping the homeless get shelter, how many homeless people are you providing shelter for? If you have a service-based business and you're a coach, how many people are you coaching? And what has been their impact, right? This is where you really want to share your success stories, right? And your experience with whatever your target population is, right? We'll talk about the target populations in a moment. Next, your statement of need, right? You have to decide what is the problem that you're trying to resolve, or what is the issue that you are addressing. And let me tell you, it doesn't matter if you have a product, program, or service, you have to think about what you're doing in terms of resolving an issue. This is very critical for grant applications, right? It doesn't matter what it is. Let's take a bakery, right? There's a bakery that wants to relocate in the downtown community. You might be thinking, it's a bakery. We're talking about cakes and cupcakes. Like, what problem could they possibly be resolving, right? Well, what if it's a vegan bakery? What if they're resolving the issue that vegans like to have baked goods too, right? Maybe she's resolving the issue of economic development because she wants to locate in an area where there have been many other failed businesses. Maybe she's resolving the issue of the local businesses surrounding where her location will be because they haven't had a decent bakery in years, right? It doesn't matter what you're doing. You have to address some type of an issue and speak to that in the grant application, right? Again, it doesn't matter what your company is. Let's say you are a trucker, and I've spoken with a number of people who have trucking companies, right? Well, talk about resolving an issue. I mean, the trucking industry allows us to get goods from one part of the country to the next, right? And maybe you are a female-led trucking company, which I've talked to several within the past week, right? That alone makes a statement, right? Maybe you're the first person in your family to even have a company, right? Or maybe in your particular area, you're one of the few females that are long-haul truck drivers, right? Or whatever it is you're hauling, you are literally contributing to the economy of the country based on the goods that you're hauling. So no matter what you have, right? No matter your organization, you have to write it as if you are addressing an issue, because whatever issue it is that you're addressing, that is another way to connect to your funder, because guess what? They're going to be concerned about the same issue. Is it homelessness? Is it the opioid crisis, right? Is it K through 12 education? That is how you are going to connect to find your perfect funder, because they are also going to be concerned about the same area of interest, right? Now, how do you find information out about the funder? At the end of the day, 90% of foundations do not have a website. I'm going to say that again. 90% of foundations do not have a website, right? So how do you get information about the organizations, right? The 990 form, right? I don't want you to sleep on the 990 form because it is a gold mine. What is it? The 990 is the tax document that foundations have to submit, right? That's the tax form. It is a gold mine. It will include the senior staff, right, of that foundation, the board of directors. But if you scroll to the end of the 990, there is a document that will list all of the nonprofits that they have given funding to, or any organization that they have given funding to. And you're going to look at that document and start searching for organizations that look like yours. So let's say you have an equestrian program, right, where you utilize horses to help heal veterans. You're going to look to see if there are any other animal-related organizations that they've given money to. And if you see any, you might know, okay, that may be my funder, right? And so use the 990 to your benefit. Now, how do you get the 990? You could pay for memberships and organizations and websites, and they'll give you free access to 990 forms. But there's a cost. I can provide it to you for, what is that word again? Free. All right. So I want you to go to this website, right? It is projects.propublica.org/nonprofits. You can go to this website and literally download the 990 of any organization that has filed one, right? And guess what? It is free of charge. All right. Next, target population. Who are you helping? This is also where many organizations falter. They're trying to help everybody. You cannot help everybody. No matter your project, program, or service, you have to ask yourself, who is best? That word best, who is best being served by my organization, right? It cannot be everybody. Maybe it's based on gender and you have an organization for women, or ethnicity, you have an organization for African Americans. Maybe it's based on income and you serve people who live below the federal poverty line, right? Maybe it's based on age. Maybe you want to open up a daycare center. So you're looking for families, right, with children under the age of 5. No matter what type of demographics you want to target, if you need additional information, the census, don't sleep on the census. This is a free website for you to be able to get so much information, right? Think about that daycare center. She wants to open in a community where there are lots of families with children under the age of 5. How does she find that out? The census. So again, that is a free website for you to be able to really look at your demographics. And whatever target population that you're working with is going to lead you to your perfect funder. Because once again, that funder, that foundation will also be looking to help organizations that are helping that particular target population, right? All right, next, at the end of the day, this is all about you telling a story, right? But what I want you to keep in mind as you are writing the grant application, keep the target population at the center of the story, right? That is very important. Why? Because that's where all the transformation takes place. It takes place within the clients that you're serving. Think about the students, right, that are getting the tutoring, right? Maybe they can finally work up to reading and math grade proficiency level, graduate from high school, go into college, take a trade, or join the armed services, right? They're being transformed. What about the homeless person that you've helped to find a shelter for? Their lives are being transformed. Maybe they can now go to school or get a job. So when you're writing the grant, really focus on how you are helping to transform the lives of your clients, right? And you have to ask yourself, especially those of you who have already submitted grant applications, did you really tell your story the best? Did you talk about how you were able to change lives or change outcomes? It's all about appealing to emotions in these grant applications, right? There's no better way to do it than using real examples, testimonials, case studies. Each and every one of you, you should have on the homepage of your website a video testimonials. And look, this does not have to be expensive. Literally, you can have your client pick up their cell phone, and people know, I always say I'm an Android girl, but if you have that little iPhone, I guess you can use it too, and have them talking to that cell phone, right, for a minute to talk about these are the best cupcakes I've ever tasted in my life, or this person really changed my life. So ask your clients to film a minute video, and that video needs to go on what? The homepage of your website. And yes, you need a website. This is important. I've been doing this for 15 years now. The first place a foundation is going to go is not your social media pages, not your IG, your Instagram, not your Facebook, not your TikTok. They're going to go to your website. And yes, you need a website. This is important. It doesn't have to be a complicated website, right? It can be a couple of pages so that you can showcase what you're doing, who you're serving, your testimonials, what your program is like, the history of your organization. I work with a phenomenal website designer. She's been doing this for over 25 years. She's a web developer and a web designer. It's rare to get them both in one person, but she is. And she's very affordable. I also have other website designers that I can refer you to that are very affordable. The idea that some people are asking these small organizations for crazy amounts of money to build websites is just insane to me. This can be done very economically. So if you want a referral, please drop your email into the Q&A or the chat, the Q&A or the chat. But if you drop it in the Q&A, that's fine. If you want the referral, because you really do need a website. This is really important. I've met with so many foundations over the years, and they will point out, right? They will point out what is and is not on that website. So yes, you need a website, all right? It's fine to have social media, right? It's fine to have a social media footprint, but you need a website, absolutely, if you are going to be seeking grants. I cannot stress that enough. And don't sleep on videos. On the homepage, you need those testimonials, video testimonials. So you have a question that you need to answer. Are you looking for operating or program project money? Operating money means that you decide where to put the grant money. IT, your lease, marketing, you decide, right? Or maybe you're looking for a grant for a particular program or project. The bakery wants to begin a delivery service, so that's a very specific program. What you absolutely need to know is that you should be applying to multiple foundations, even for the same ask, even for the same grant need, right? Let's say you want to hire a 1099 contractor, you need $10,000. You should be applying to Foundation A for $10,000 and Foundation B for $10,000, right? What if you get them both? What if all of a sudden you get approved by both organizations and all of a sudden you have $20,000? What do? What you're not going to do is give the money back, because we don't give grant money back. No. What you can do, for example, is hire 2 1099 workers, or maybe double the hours of the person you were going to hire. What you have to take away is that you must apply to multiple foundations. Grants are not guaranteed. Like, that's one of my pet peeves that drives me insane when people say, I applied to this one organization for a grant. No, people, multiple foundations, okay? Keep that in mind. Now, you can also apply to Foundation A for program money and Foundation B for operating money, right? You just can't apply for both from one foundation. You have to choose. And consider what your greatest needs are when you decide, do I need money for my operations or for a particular project? Just really think about where you most need money. Next, you're describing your project or your service, whatever it is. Why has it been successful? What has been the factors? Showcase those testimonials, right? If it's something that you will be doing, why will it be successful? Maybe it's based on your history, right? Or your experience with the target populations, right? When you're describing that project or that service, whatever it's going to be, talk about how it's addressing a particular issue or need. Be detailed, right, in your activities. And again, if it's something that is new to you, you need to use supporting research. But at the end of the day, you have to address how it is resolving an issue. All right, next, community partnerships have become a very large portion of grant applications. Why? Because it's all about collaboration. One thing I can tell you for sure, having been in business for 15 years, you are not going to do this alone. You can't do it by yourself. You cannot do this by yourself. You need assistance, and collaborating with partners, especially community partners, is so important, right? And it does not have to mean an exchange of money, right? It could, but it doesn't have to be, right? I was writing a grant for a third grade Black class, right? Third grade class of Black students. The teacher wanted them to learn the violin, right? Third graders. We were working with the Cleveland Orchestra, one of the greatest orchestras literally in the world. And their employees were going to come after school and teach these third grade students the violin. If you can imagine what that looks like on a grant application, you're working with the world-renowned Cleveland Orchestra. That's why it's important, if at all possible, especially if you're new, to partner with seasoned organizations right within your community, the Urban League, HBCUs, the YMCA, the YWCA, because they're going to have a board of directors, right, that are well connected. That board is going to be well connected, right? Those directors are going to be well connected. And you never know how they can help you, not only in being connected to other foundations, right, but in helping you move your organization forward. So really think about how you can connect with community partners, right? That bakery that I talked about, they're partnering with an event planner. They'll be having flyers about the event planner. The event planner will be using the bakery, but also providing flyers about the bakery at her establishment. So community partnerships are important because you are going to be asked that question on your grant application. Next, we're talking about results. Forecasting, but I don't want you to be afraid of the F word, right? Because all you're doing is laying out what you predict your future results are going to be. That's all you're doing. And some grants will ask for all three: outputs, outcomes, and impact. Some will only ask for one. So we're going to go through all three, just in case your application asks for all three. Outputs, immediate results. Like, you give me the money, this is what is going to happen. Outcomes, that usually takes place maybe 6 months to a year down the road, but they happen because of your outputs. Your impact, typically a year to 2 years down the road, it happens as a result of outcomes that again happen as a result of outputs. So I'll show you how this looks. A daycare center wanted a $20,000 grant to open. They said, if you give us $20,000, we found this great location, we're ready to open. We will serve 100 families and 250 children, right? If you give us the $20,000, we can open. That's our output. Now, because we open in this great neighborhood, 100 families are being served, 250 children, we predict that in 6 months, we're going to grow our capacity by 40%. Excuse me. Also, in 6 months, we're going to add 24/7 services, right? As a result of us opening in this great community and serving these families, right? Now, a year from now, maybe even 2 years from now, as a result of us growing by 40% and adding 24/7 services, this is what is going to happen. Based on a survey that we provide, 25% of our families will say that they experience less stress. Why? Because they can drop their kids off 24/7. Like, wouldn't you experience less stress if you could drop your kids off 24/7? Yes. Also, 65% of children will demonstrate improved behavior because we have this great educational program. And we predict that a year to 2 years from now, we are going to expand to 2 locations. So you see how they build upon the other. So whether or not you're asked for one or all three, you know how to lay them out. Also, you're going to be asked for goals, right? What are your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? But they will be in SMART goals. You have to list SMART goals. What are they? A lot of you probably know what SMART goals are. They're specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely, right? So how do you write this out? Let's say I have a program and I say, my goal is I want to reduce the poverty rate in Cleveland. Well, that's a massive goal, right? That is a huge goal, right? You need to be more specific, right? How do you change that goal into a SMART goal? You can say, I want to reduce the poverty rate by 5% in Cleveland for Hispanic children under the age of 5 within a 5-year time frame. What did I do there? How did I change the goal into a SMART goal? I added data and stats. So when your grant application is asking you for goals, use SMART goals, incorporate data and stats, right? Also, you will be asked, well, what are your assessment tools? How do you know that your program or your service is working? I love surveys, right? I love SurveyMonkey. So if you're using a particular survey that's really good, or any type of assessment tool that really works for you, to give yourself some love and drop it into the chat. Let us know what you're using. Jotform is another really great survey tool. The principal, what assessment tool is she going to use this to show that her program is working? She can use the test results, right, of the students before and after they took the tutoring program in reading and math to determine whether or not her program is making a difference. So if you're using, okay, Jotform, Kimberly says Jotform and Typeform. Google Forms, Javon says Google Forms. Jennifer says SurveyMonkey. Interviews are great. Interviews, Javon, and I have this listed. are excellent, right? Interview your people to find out whether or not your service is working, right? Because you will need to address this in the grant application, like what tools are you using to show that your program is even working, right? Next, you're going to really list your staff, especially those that are leading the project or leading the organization. And it's probably you, right? What you need to know, especially for you for-profits, you will have to update your bio and your resume. This is critical. And I know you probably haven't done that in a long time, especially those for-profits. So update your bio and resume. That's more homework for you. Why is this important? Because the foundation wants to know that you have the right people, the right qualified people, right, in the right positions. Next, the budget. What do you need to know? This is the budget for how you're going to use the grant. You have to itemize your expenses, right? So if you're asking for $50,000 for an executive director, you can't just put, I need 50 grand for an ED, right? You have to be specific and show how is the money being used. Maybe it's $50,000 for 6 months, or maybe it's for a year, right? And if that ED is a W-2 employee, right, or full-time, you're going to need to show benefits, right? Or maybe it's a 1099 contracted position. The numbers go into the budget, but the explanation for how you're spending the money goes into the budget narrative, right? A little trick that I use, I always connect the money back to the goal of the program. So if I'm asking for $50,000 to pay for an ED, I'm going to talk about how that ED, right in the budget narrative, is going to be the one leading the program. Next, sustainability. I love this area because at the end of the day, you have to show how you can still sustain your organization or your project or your program beyond the grant period, right? Because grants are not guaranteed. So think about the high school, right? They got the $20,000 in year one, right? But they had to write in that application how they would sustain the program in year two if they didn't get the grant money. So you have to come up with ways in which you can still come up with the money to sustain your program in year two, and that goes in the grant application. Now I want to do a quick little activity. I want you to think about that high school, right? They had to write in the application, this is how we're going to come up with $20,000 in year two, right? To keep our tutoring program going, even if we don't get the grant money. So I want you to drop into the chat. What ways could a high school write into an application, right? Ways that they can sustain their program. How can they come up with $20,000 in year two to sustain? Exactly, Nikki, fundraisers, right? Fundraisers. How about like a car wash? What about if they have like a sports program and they're charging tickets, right? For people to be admitted to the sports program, or a bake sale, right? Jasney says raffles. Kimberly says, right, related services, right? Other services, right? Lacey, excellent, a talent show, right? Ticketed events paying. So you have to be creative and coming up with alternative fund development methods where you can still sustain your program. This is a very important question because it has been on almost every grant application I've seen for the last several years. You have to really be thoughtful about your answers. At the end of the day, you really are going to have to change your mindset about grants, right? Because you need to shift to a winning position. As I told you before, grants are not 200-page documents anymore. Last month, Barclays Bank was giving away $25,000 to for-profits. All they wanted was a 500-word essay, right? So the idea that you're going to be sitting in a corner for months at a time, no. Everything's changing because I know you want to be successful. I know you want to help your clients and solve problems, right? But this is about creating relationships with the funder, right? And knowing that you can do this because people that look just like you and me are getting grant money every single day. Okay, every single day, people that look just like you and me. What is the difference? They have the knowledge and they are applying it, right? And that's what I'm sharing with you today is the knowledge so that you'll have it. Now, if you take nothing else away from this webinar, please meet with the funder first. This is critical because what you want to do is start establishing relationships, right? It is as important as what you put into the grant application. I've been in foundation meetings where I have heard foundation leaders say, if I get a stack of applications and they've not called me, they have not communicated with me, they have not emailed me, that might go into the trash. Now, not all foundations do this, right? But do your due diligence and try to meet with that foundation, right? I set up a meeting last month between my client and a foundation had never heard of the client before, right? But those missions aligned. After a 30-minute meeting, he walked away with $30,000. Same thing happened 2 months ago. Set up a meeting with a family foundation. They didn't even have a website. With my client, after 2 hours, not only did the client walk away with a $30,000 grant, but the family committed to giving them $30,000 every single year, right? That relationship is critical because let me say this to you. In that meeting, you're going to learn information about that grant that they never put on their website. They're going to learn information about you and your company, your organization that you'll never be able to put on a website, right? You are building that relationship and it is everything. And if they like you, I've seen this too. If they like you, they will tell you what to put on the grant application so that they can approve it, right? So please, please, please meet with the funder first, if at all possible. It is as important as the grant application. Next, these are some of the do's, by the way. Next, time management, people. Grant applications are deadline driven, okay? If the deadline says 4:59 p.m. and you submit it at 5 o'clock, you're gonna have a bad day, bad day, because the portal will have closed. Please don't wait until the last minute to submit these grant applications. Please, always try to submit them a day early because you never know what type of technical difficulty you're going to run into. So give yourself some time, right? Also, address every question, right? If there's a question that does not pertain to you, don't leave it blank, because if it's an online application, they may think that it is an incomplete application if you leave questions blank. Always put NA if it doesn't pertain to you, right? Next, absolutely find someone else to review that application for you, please. These are some don'ts. I love a good template. However, I don't want you putting cookie cutter answers from one application to 25 other applications, right? Because every grant application is a little different, right? Next, do not ask for too much money when you approach a funder for the first time, because you're not going to get it, right? You don't go in asking for $100,000 because they don't know if you're fiscally responsible yet, right? I always recommend when you are working with a funder for the first time, ask for anywhere between $5,000 to $30,000, right? Now, most of the time, you'll know what the grant application amount is for, right? But there are some funders, especially community foundations, where they don't tell you the amount. They expect you to tell them what you need. So be conservative when you go in to meet them for the first time. And whatever you do, don't forget to add it. Grammarly is your friend. All right, remember I said how important it is to meet with the funder. How do you go about doing this? You are going to create a letter of introduction, right? In this letter, you are describing your organization, and you can email this. This is fine to email it. You describe your organization. You talk about your statement of need or your target population, right? You talk about the program and how it aligns to the mission of that founder or that the foundation, right? Or the corporate foundation. You're not asking for money, right? You're trying to set up a meeting. You're not asking for money yet. You may do your research and come up with the right names of the people, but where do you send it to, right? You need the right email address. And people have been giving you tea. This is a teapot, okay? This is a teapot. Get email.io. It is like the best thing since sliced bread, because this program will literally give you the email address of almost anybody in an established organization around the world. I use it all the time. I find people's emails in Italy, Germany, you name it, because I don't want you sending this letter to like info@abcfoundation.org, because it's going to go off into the hemisphere and it might not come back, right? I want you to have a real email address of a real person, right? And the best thing It's free for like maybe the first 10 to 15 emails, and then they charge you a monthly rate, which I think is maybe about $60 a month. But for me, it's worth it because I use it all the time. But you do get 10 to 15 emails free. So use them wisely. Okay. It is very, 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 very important that you do that. And Stacy just dropped in another one, hunter.io. Is not 100%, but it's free. So there you are with another resource. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Stacy. Stacy, you might want to send that to everyone. You sent that to the host. You might want to drop that to everyone so everyone could see that. That's really good advice. Oh, she's dropping gems. Stacy, why don't you make sure you send that to everybody? She's listing some other ones. Rocket Reach is another one. Because what we want you to do is make sure you have the right email address of the person that you're sending this letter to. Now, we're off to how do you find the grants? How do you find the grants? This is important, right? This is how you find the grants. Your foundation directory online is the largest source of information in the US on grants. And it's about $50 a month, but you can get it free from your local library. They will give you the organizations, right? Not the grants, the organizations. Instrumental is more pricey. It is $200 a month. They give you the grant application, the source, the founder, right? The foundation, the 990, and some more training. Grants.gov, you know, that is the leading source of federal grants. Lilly Foundation, for those of you who have faith-based organizations, that's the largest funder of religious organizations. You have educational programming, Grant Gopher. I like grantwatch.com, which is about $20 a week. They have a lot of last minute grants. I love GrantStation because they have so many grants for for-profits. They also give you, as well as GrantWatch, okay, this is an important distinction. GrantWatch and GrantStation will give you the actual grant funding. They will give you the grant application, information about the application, and information about the foundation as well. GrantStation is about $200 a year. But if you are a nonprofit, oftentimes they will have a special where they provide a free subscription for a year to nonprofits. So check them out. Urban Awareness USA is Black owned, so you definitely want to subscribe to them to get their information as well. And don't worry, this is being recorded. You'll get a replay because I know I'm zooming through these slides. So GrantStation, this is important because this is how you're finding your funding, right? This is how you find the grants and what's available. This is just the homepage of GrantStation. You put in, am I a business, nonprofit, individual? Am I looking for US grants, federal grants, Canadian grants, foundational grants? Where am I looking? Where's the geographical scope of where I'm located and also where the funder is located? What type of grant is it? Am I looking for a federal grant or a foundation grant? Target population, look to the right here. See all those areas of interest. This is why it's important for you to be able to hone in, right, and be specific about what you're operating, what you're offering, who you're serving. Target population, the areas of interest. You put all of this information, right, into GrantStation. You hit a button and up pops a list of available grants for you, right? Actual grants. And again, they're about $200 for the year. Now, remember I said I was going to have actual grant opportunities for you. So these are a few. American Express and US Black Chambers, they have a We Back Black Business Grant, DOT, Department of Transportation, Facebook Black Creators Grant. I've received one of those grants before. NASE, MBDA, FedEx has a program. You might know about the Small Business Innovation Research. If you're doing a lot of research, SBIR, Northwestern has a Black Founder Accelerator. Now, you may be thinking, look, I don't have a lot of employees. I don't have a big staff. I have a small staff. Do you know that there are organizations that literally give grants to specifically small organizations? Or guess what? Sometimes you don't even need 1099 or W-2 employees or contractors. You could be an all volunteer nonprofit and get money. Amarillo is one organization that gives funding to all volunteer nonprofits. Look, even if you don't have anyone on the payroll, If you are meeting your mission statement, right? You're impacting your community, you're reaching your target population, and you have an all volunteer staff, yes, you can still get grant funding. Those of you who are faith-based, Mustard Seed Foundation. Now, Harlem Capital is a group of Black philanthropists, so you'll need to know about them. Lilly Foundation, 2 years ago, they set aside $23 million for Black churches and HBCUs. Give Butter is another group of Black philanthropists, right? They give grants. Barclays Bank, like I said, last month, they gave away $25,000. Let's say you're a startup. You might be thinking, oh, I'm a startup. There's no grants for me. Yes, there are. InSile and Sky's the Limit are two programs that offer grants for startups. Now, I know I have a lot of females on the line with me, so this slide is for you. You need to absolutely sign up for helloalice.com. That is a portal that has so many grants available for small businesses, right? Small businesses. I call the next two the credit card grants. MasterCard and Visa both have grant programs for Black women. Kickstarter, the Goldman Sachs 1 Million Black Women program, I think that just ended, but they will be opening up in a few months. Cartier has a grant for women business owners, Amber grants for women. They give away $10,000 every single month. If you have maybe a health and wellness program, you need to know about Women's Sports Foundation. Now, really quickly, don't go anywhere. I want you to put into the chat, what do you think about when you think about banks and money? Into the chat, banks and money, banks and money. Loans, 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 loans. That's right, credit line, loans. Did you know that banks are some of the largest provider of grants? Grants, people, you've been looking at the wrong place. You've been talking to the wrong people. Don't go to the branch manager. They're going to try to get you to sign up to a loan, right? Don't go to your loan officer. They're going to try to get you to buy an even bigger loan. You need to find the vice president of the bank, which is usually your vice president of community relations or economic development, or the vice president of community affairs or community reinvestment. You need to talk to them. You need to meet with them. Now, you need to make sure you find a bank with a good footprint in your area. Footprint meaning they have maybe a lot of branches, or maybe you see a lot of TV ads for their banks. Make sure they have a good footprint. I was giving this webinar last year. A lady came on. She did exactly what I asked her to do. She went and she found a VP. She applied for a $2.3 million grant. Grant, free money. All right. Find your VP and meet with them and let them know that you need grant money. And no, it does not have to be your bank. It does not have to be your bank. And yes, you can be a nonprofit or a for-profit. I have gotten grant money for my clients who are for-profits from banks. All right. Don't sleep on banks. So thank you for saying it to the end. Don't go anywhere, because I need to tell you about something that I have for you, because as I mentioned, there is so much grant money available, right? So much grant money available, especially for us as Black-owned organizations, that I wanted to do something to help you. So what did I do? I created an easy to follow grant writing course. I have a course that will literally help you to write these grants and not be scared to do it, right? Because it is a step-by-step path to funding, because I want you to be impactful. I want you to fulfill your mission without asking family and friends, digging in your pocketbook or your purse, or always getting a loan. Like, think about what could you do with an additional $20,000, $30,000, $50,000, right? Of money, free grant money, right? This course, I am guaranteeing, will save at least 50% of the time that you use to research and write a grant, right? I get asked all the time, Linda, is there a grant for this, for A, for B? You fill in the blank, right? And more than likely, yes, there is, but you have to find the funder. You have to find the right person, the right organization that will give that to you. And I want you to do it in a community that is safe, because I cannot tell you, I'm not kidding when I say to you, it is every single day now that I hear about a scam story. Somebody's been scammed. I gave somebody who was supposed to write a grant for me $1,000. I heard this one yesterday, $1,000, never heard from the person, no grant, right? Or somebody will say to you, if you give me $50, I'll write 3 grants for you. If somebody says that to you, you need to do a military turn, right? And run the other way. Okay. I want you to be in a safe community where you can ask questions that you need and know that you're going to get legitimate answers. Because again, this is my 15th year. I've been doing this for a long time. Of course, I give you the best grant research techniques. I show you how to find a funder, right? How to approach funders, right? And of course, I'm going to show you how to write every part of the grant narrative. And absolutely, you will be able to write these grants without spending a lot of money on a grant writer, right? A little bit of equity, or rather a little bit of effort is going to give you the equity that you need. But no, I don't want you to do it alone, because it's a pet peeve, the scammers. Anytime you deal with free money, the scammers come out of the woodworks, okay? What do you get? You get 12 modules, 35 lessons. Everybody learns differently, right? So every lesson starts with a video, right? And then I lay out the lesson, you get your tasks, get your planners. Your planners are so important, right? You want to be organized, and you get your workbooks because it's online, but I allow you to download everything, right? So that it's easy for you, so that you can work in front of a computer or you can work from the workbook, right? And of course, I give you actual grant examples, and every example won money. Every example I wrote myself, right? So every grant example in this course I wrote myself, and it won money, right? So yes, you get actual grant examples, and I'm doing what nobody else is doing. I actually give you a list of 450 funders. So it's like you're ready, you have what you need. And the latest list I uploaded last month was a list of foundations that provide money just for entrepreneurs. And unlike many other course creators who disappear, right? You buy their course, you never see them again. I'm here with you, right? I have a private Facebook group. If anybody is in that Facebook group, please give yourself a shout out in the chat, because it is lit. Oh my gosh, this Facebook group, I'm so proud of everybody in the Facebook group. A month ago, they started a sub working group because these people are serious about getting money. All right. There's too much money available for you not to be serious about getting the money, right? So I have a private Facebook group. Once you buy the course, you will be allowed into the group, right? And I give you one extra bonus to show you that, yes, I'm here for you to get this money. I give you 1 hour of group coaching, and that's not one and done. It's every single month, right? It's every month you get an hour of group coaching. So I am here for you. How much is it? This is what the course was audited for. I've had the course audited 3 times, and this is the value. 12 modules, 35 lessons is worth $3,549. Just the videos alone are worth $599. The list of 400 is now 450 funders is worth $499. And then of course you have your workbooks and your planners, your grant trackers. You know how important the grant trackers are. They're worth $350, but no, that is not what you pay. The course retails for $997. It's on sale right now for $497, and people pay that. I have to tell you, people pay that every day, the $497. That's the sale price, but that is not what you are going to pay because you decided to be on this webinar with me today. I'm giving you an additional 50% off. So yes, you're only paying $247. Like that's it. It's one and done. Like my coaches get on me all the time because they know that's a crazy low price, but it's also why I can't keep it at that price. So it does expire. You have like 3 days to get the one payment of $247. And I also do something that I won't be doing for much longer. I actually give you the opportunity to make 2 payments, right? So you can make the one payment of $247, which you must use the code to make the one payment, right? If you want to make 2 payments, you can. It's $137.50 1 month over the course of 2 months, and then you don't need a code at all. So while I can't keep it at $247, there's an expiration date, which is 3 days from now. The course itself never expires. Why? I'm a small business owner. You have a small business, or you are leading a nonprofit. Life happens. You can buy this course and say, I'm going to start tomorrow. And guess what? Life happens and you don't start tomorrow. I'm not going to penalize you for that. So the course never expires. I'm going to say that one more time. The course never expires. You have everything you need. Literally, by the time you get through these 12 modules, you will have written a grant proposal template. You can go out and start writing grants. And I give you a list of 450, right? I know no one else is doing that. So this is everything you get. And yes, it's for the culture. Of course, it's for the culture, $247. That's a crazy price for a $5,000, literally audited course. I didn't even talk about the letter of inquiry. There's so much I didn't even get to. There's so much in this course. And yes, it's self-paced. You go at your own speed, right? But you get the help. You get me as your coach, right? And the Facebook group. Oh, something else I needed to share with you about the Facebook group. If you need help, let's say you're writing a grant and you want somebody to just review the page. People come to the Facebook group, right? And they'll ask, could someone review this page for me? And I have professional grant writers in the course that are in the Facebook group. And someone will always say, sure, I'll look at that for you. I'll review that for you for free, right? So you get the help you need. You are not alone. And that is what is important. Why is all of this important for you to hear right now? Is because grants are not guaranteed. And just because the money is there now, doesn't mean the money will be there 3 months from now. If you buy the course, you're going to go to this page. It's $497. You hit purchase, and then you'll be able to enter the discount code. It will immediately take $250 off of the price. However, if you want to do the 2 payments, you can. You hit that little drop down arrow and you'll see the 2 by $137.50. When you come to the sales page right here, if you do the 1 payment, you input the code, it will take off the $250. It'll be $247. Now this little block here that says ask the expert, you have the opportunity to meet with me one-on-one if you want to, like one-on-one for 1 hour, which is normally $495 an hour. But if you check that box when you buy the course, it's only $195 an hour. And a lot of people do this. You don't have to, but I meet with you one-on-one privately. We do a deep dive into your organization to get you on the right foot and to get you started, right? So if you want to purchase that, you can, but I only offer it at a discount when you buy the course. Why is all this important right now? First of all, my next group coaching session is next week, right? So you are here at a great time to be here for that next group coaching session. But as I mentioned, grants are not guaranteed for the whole year. So companies like Verizon and Walmart, they will tell you, you have to apply to our grant money when it is available, because when it's exhausted, it's exhausted. So whatever you do, please don't wait. Please don't wait. Even if you are making any type of a move, don't be in the same position a month from now. Somehow move your organization forward, because we saw the grant money is available. I want you to listen as I read from Christina, because this is critical. She wrote this 2 months ago. She said, may I share that I am so grateful for Linda. I have not had the confidence to follow through on applying for grants if it wasn't for her grant writing course. The depth of information provided is unmatched from my experience. I won my very first grant to grow my business, and I am so grateful. Confidence, I know it can be scary, right? But you have to push through. There's no grant money without a grant application, and she did it. And guess what? This grant that she won, I put into the Facebook group. I'm always posting grants in the Facebook group constantly, right? So look at Christina. She looks like you and me, right? So this is not some far off, fantasy or fairy tale. People that look like you and me are getting grant money every single day. Look at Quintina. She looks like you and me. She got her first grant March 1st, not last year, this year. This is happening now, right? And Farah, I can't make this up. Farah, you can ask her for yourself if you join and come over to the Facebook group. She got 5 church grants for her mother. Reverend Christine, $35,000 in grants for her church ministry. So this is real. People are getting the money. What I want you to do, everybody that's left with me, because I believe in speaking things into the universe, right? Right now, this is the Q&A time. I want you to put into the chat, I am ready to get grant money. I am ready to get grant money. I want you to speak it and put into the chat. I am ready to get grant money. I am ready to get grant money, everybody, because now is the time. Please put yourself in position to get grant money. That's what I'm talking about. Payne and Cortina and PPS and Jimmy and Valerie. I'm ready to get grant money, right? There is no waiting. There is no waiting. Lacey, Javon, right? Arissa, Janice, Talisha, I'm ready to get grant money. Timothy, Keisha, Caroline, Cartina, is it Carolina? Carolina, ooh, a beautiful name, Carolina. Cece, Micheline, I'm ready to get grant money, right? Jennifer, Elaine, I'm ready to get grant money, right? Do not wait, right? Whatever you do, I would love to see you in a Facebook group. I would love to see you in the group coaching session to move yourself forward. But whatever you do, move. Whatever you do, do something to push your organization forward, because there's too much free grant money out here for you to still be wondering, how did that person get a grant? Like, how did she get a grant? How did he get a grant? They got knowledge and they used it. You have the knowledge. You can get additional knowledge. You can get my coaching. I've been doing this for 15 years. And the group coaching session that I run every month is free. You're not paying for that, right? It's all included with the $247 price. You're like one and done. People literally are asking if it's a monthly amount. No. And it's tax deductible. It's tax deductible. So you can literally write it off. All right. So the Facebook group, people are asking about. When you buy the course, you will get 3 emails. One email is a welcome email where you set up your username and your password. The second email is a welcome email, but it will give you a link to the Facebook group. You hit the link. When you hit that link, it will give us your invitation, and then we will admit you. We have to admit you to the Facebook group, okay? So once you join, you will get, and the third email is another welcome email that gives you some additional instructions. So don't worry, when you join, you will get those emails and we will admit you to the Facebook group. I'm telling you, it is incredible, right? There's so much information I provide, so much information that's provided in the Facebook group, because at the end of the day, these people are serious about getting this money. All right. So I know there are several questions, right? So what we're going to do now, right? Arissa says, I am the next $1.3 million grant winner. You know, there are $1 million grants available, right? If I've secured $17 million for organizations, there are $1 million grants available. You have to find your perfect funder, and this course will help you do that specifically. And then if you have any questions, you ask me, right? I've been doing business for 15 years, right? I've been in business for 15 years. And what I have found is that in that group coaching session, people will ask me questions that have nothing to do with grant writing, and that's okay, right? Use me as a resource, right? I'll just share a really quick story. A young lady had created a product, right? She was an inventor and she got a patent, but she had problems bringing it to market. Well, I am very good friends with Lisa Ascalise, right? She is called the Inventress. She is like the QVC queen. She has products on QVC and HSN and iShop, and she is a Shark Tank consultant. Well, I connected this young lady with Lisa Ascalise, right? So that she could help her bring her product to market, because I'm here to help you. People who know me personally know I've been a servant leader since I was 15 years old, right? So this is what I do. I am here to help you. I can't stress that enough. I'm here to help you. All right. Q&A. What do you recommend for funding until you receive the 501c3? So hopefully the 501c3 should come to you in 6 to 8 weeks. So in the interim, you need to be getting your grant applications ready, right? Remember that list of documentation that I showed you? Get that documentation ready. Get your letters of support. Make sure, right, that you have the other information available so that you are doing research. So while you're waiting on that 501c3, you should be doing research and getting together the list of grants that you are going to apply for. Excuse me. So by the time you get your 501c3, you're ready to start applying, right? There's 450 funders in the course that you get. If you buy the course, you need time to go through that list to find out which ones are great for you. So in the interim, do your research. What happens if you do not have any video testimonials? You get them. You get them. Cell phone, 30 seconds. Ask people for whom you have helped to literally do a 30-second video on their cell phone. This does not have to be complicated. This does not have to be expensive. And you have them give you that video link and you use that video. Now, I'm not saying if you don't have video testimonials, you can't get grants or you can't get a website. So have them write you a testimonial, right? Have them write you a testimonial and use the written testimonial. Ask them though, if you can maybe use their likeness, if you can use their photo along with their testimonial, because visuals are just always better, right? They're just always better. All right, so I have the emails for the website referrals, no problem. Can you use the same template when applying for grants and just update the information, company name, excuse me, amount requested as needed? No. So every grant application is different. You're not going to get 5 grant applications with all the same questions. You're just not. You're just not. So that's one of the downsides of thinking that you can use a purchased grant template that you can use for all grants. It doesn't work that way. By going through the course, you are going to answer a series of questions. This is what is important about the course and why it's so useful. I'm asking you questions that I know will be on a grant application. You're answering the questions so that when you get the grant application, you can copy and paste those answers from what you've created from the course into the grant application, if it applies, right? If it applies, right? So that's what's important. Every grant application is different. They're going to ask a question sometimes in a little different way. So once you go through the course, you're going to have the bulk of your information available, right? And it's going to be more than just your company name or your amount requested, right? You're going to have that detailed information about your information so that you're going to be ready to tackle any grant application, right? Because you have done the work. You have provided some really in-depth written answers about your organization. And that's why it makes it so easy, because you've done the work first, right? What if you service the target population under another nonprofit and the testimonials are branded by that organization? I'm not exactly sure what you're asking. If you could ask that in a different way, that would be helpful. I'm just not sure what you're asking. Will we have a copy of this? You will get a free replay. Are you available to review a sample grant today? No, I'm not available to review a sample grant. If you want me to personally review grants, there is a fee for that. If you want me to personally review grants, there is a fee, right? However, if you buy the course and you have a sample grant and you want somebody to review it, you can literally go into the Facebook group and say, I've completed a sample grant. Is there somebody available to review this for me? And I'm not guaranteeing it, but more than likely you will get somebody to say, yes, I'll review that for you. I'll look over that for you, right? But me, I charge a fee. My company charges a fee to review grants, right? But yes, you can get your grant reviewed if you come into the Facebook group, because there are so many people in the Facebook group. And again, I have literally professional grant writers that are in the Facebook group, and they're always in there helping people. They're always in there helping people. Do I need a profit and loss statement as a startup for-profit to receive a startup? So the profit and loss statement, you're not going to have a profit and loss statement if you haven't started the organization yet. Now, if you have been in business for a couple of years and you have your P&L statements, that's going to be good. So yes, if you've been in business for a couple of years and you have those profit and loss statements, yes, you will be able to use those, because the financial statements, you're going to be asked for financial statements as a part of the grant, right? And so your P&L, your profit and loss statements are going to be very helpful. Absolutely. All right. So that's everything I see in the Q&A, but I know there are questions in the chat. Yes. I guess what I'm asking is, do I need to show profitability? Yes, absolutely. You're going to be asked for your financial statements. So if you have financial statements that show profitability, absolutely. Because you're going to need to submit profit and loss statements and a balance sheet in an annual budget when you apply for grants, right? if you have been in business for a couple of years, if you're a startup and you haven't even opened yet, then you need that operating budget, because they need to know at least what type of budget you have. But if you've been open for a few years, yes, you need your profit and loss statement. Absolutely. And then your balance sheet as well. You'll be asked for things like your balance sheet, your profit and loss statement. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, I'm going over to the chat because I saw several questions in the chat. So yes, it really is $247. It is. It's one and done. One and done. That's not a monthly payment. You will get a, yes, you will get a link to the recording. Everybody, at 7 o'clock today. Oh, that reminds me, this is important for those of you who are remaining. I'm giving you 2 email addresses. One is my direct email. I want you to put them both on your safe senders list, because you're going to get the replay from one of these email addresses, and I don't want it going to spam. And so you are going to get your replay at 7 p.m. today. At 7 p.m. today, look for an email with your replay. But I do want you to put both of those email addresses into your safe senders list, because I don't want the replay going to your spam. All right, let me go back up, because I saw quite a few questions in the chat. And as promised, I'm going to get to everyone. I've heard that it's good to reach out to staff at foundations before applying. When is the best way to reach out to them? Okay, I covered all of that. So that's been covered. I told you exactly how to reach out to them. Yes, you will get a free replay. Okay. I'm for profit. However, many of my clients are nonprofits. That's fine. That's perfectly okay. That's perfectly okay. All right. Okay, Julia says, my first grant written was federal. She got $1.5 million. So again, people that look like you and me, can you get a grant for a 501c4? It depends, Wanda. I do know that most foundations want you to be a 501c3. 501c4 is a little different. It doesn't mean that there aren't grants for you. It's about the research. So when you're doing your grant research, you have to make sure that you are looking for grants that will allow you to be a 501c4. All right, let's see. I want to make sure. Okay, Kendall is saying, each of my businesses are in good standing in Michigan. Yay. You can have a sole proprietorship in Michigan without a license, but I recommend all my consulting clients to choose the best business entity for them. There's a little protection with sole proprietors, through though more flexible. So yes, if you are deciding on what type of business to have, whether it's a sole proprietorship or an LLC or a partnership, I would advise you to talk to a consultant or an attorney. This is a great question, Anastasia. Does it help to register your business as a minority-owned, woman-owned business when applying for grants? So there are some grant applications, a lot of the ones that I showed you, that you have to be minority-owned, which means the business has to be greater than at least 51% owned by a minority, right? But that is different than having a minority, that is different than having a certified minority-owned business. That's totally different. In my experience, most regular grant applications do not require you to be a certified minority-owned business, or a certified Black-owned business, or a certified woman-owned business, or a certified female-owned business. Most of the grant applications don't require that. However, that does not mean that it is not a great thing to have, right? Because if you are looking for federal grants, right, or federal contracts, that is really where that certification is going to be mandatory, right? Because there are some contracts where you are mandated to be a certified Black-owned or certified minority-owned business or certified woman-owned business, right? So I always recommend that you get your certification so that you have them available, right? But if you're asking them if you're asking me if they are a requirement to apply for most grants, no. But don't let that be a deterrence. I'm a certified minority-owned business, right? I'm a certified female-owned business. I would suggest that you get them, but I don't want you to think you have to have them before you start applying for these grants, because you don't. Yes, if it is an in-kind donation, that's a great question, Ebony. So if you have an in-kind donation, you want to list what it is and then the value of the in-kind donation. List the value of the in-kind donation. So if somebody is donating you furniture, you want to get the approximate value of what that furniture would cost. Absolutely. So what about herbal or spiritual businesses? As I mentioned before, there's money for faith-based organizations. Mustard Seed is a foundation that only provides money to faith-based organizations. So it's not so much, is there a grant for, because there are grants for people in multiple different kinds of organizations. Sometimes it depends on your industry, yes. So if you're applying for a grant that is to give nonprofit support, if they are helping those who are addicted to drugs, that is an industry, right? Yes, you want to apply for those specific grants, but many of the for-profit grants, they just want you to be a woman-owned business, right? They're not saying specifically what that business is. Main Street Grant, for example, they give grants to for-profits, right? But you have to have a storefront. That's why they call it Main Street. You have to have a storefront. They don't care what the storefront is. It could be a dry cleaners. It could be a bakery. It could be a daycare center. So sometimes you have to look at the criteria. So it's not so much the industry, right? It's the fact that you are a Black-owned business or a woman-owned business, right? That is criteria enough. So it depends. It just depends on the grant. Okay. What if you are a team of one? Does it look bad when applying for grants? So I talked about this before. There should be no team of one. There should be no team of one, right? You will never be able to achieve what you're wanting to achieve with one person. It just doesn't work that way. You need help. Ask for volunteers, get volunteers, find out who in your community you can get volunteers from, get interns, right? Colleges have phenomenal internship programs, local community colleges, the 2-year universities, the 4-year universities. I know the ones here in the Cleveland community. There are numerous community colleges and 4-year institutions that have internship programs. And some of them you have to pay the internship. Sometimes you don't. You don't have to pay the intern, right? No, can't be a team of one. No such thing as a team of one. Get help, get help. And as I mentioned before, there are some organizations that will give grants to all volunteer organizations. Don't think that just because it's you that you can have help. It doesn't have to be paid help. As long as you are producing results, it doesn't have to be paid help. You can have all volunteers, and that is fine. Do not procrastinate. Absolutely. Aretha, you buy the course, you come in, ask that question in the Facebook, I will give you the answer. That's a great question, by the way. I just don't have, that's an extensive question. But she's asking, what are the 3 to 5 best questions to ask in a meeting with a potential funder? You always want to know, just off the top of my head, you want to know what's the criteria for the grant, right? Because you want to know, make sure that you meet it, right? What are they looking for? Like, who are they looking to fund? What are they looking to fund? How long are they looking to fund, right? How much money, right, is their typical grant, right? That's important, right? Because you may go in thinking it's $5,000 and maybe it's $30,000, right? But that's the kind of questions that, I want you to come into the Facebook group and ask. Douglas, I think this is the most informative and useful webinar I've ever participated in. Seriously, God bless you. Thank you so much. I'm here to give you information. Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Some banks give out free money. Absolutely. Absolutely. I can't tell you how much money I have gotten from banks for clients. So don't sleep on banks. Don't sleep on banks. Natasha, send me an email. Natasha, send me an email. All right, so this is Julia. Linda, that is an awesome 2-month offer, but unfortunately, I'm on 2-month. Boy, can I handle the 2-month payment to that? I wrote a message. Yeah, send me an email. Hey, look, Corey, somebody give Corey some love. Corey just purchased the program. I need all the help I can get. Yes, everybody give Corey. Corey was serious. When Corey said, I'm here to get grant money, Corey was serious. Let's show Corey some love. Corey was serious, okay? Nikki is asking, with this course, will we get a certificate? Yes, you will get a certificate saying that you completed the course, right? You will get a certificate. All right. Arissa says, I am happy I'm receiving over $100,000 in grants. So people, this is real. Like people like you and me are getting grant money. Like this is not for somebody else, right? There are funds specifically for Black-owned organizations and Black-led nonprofits, as well as all of the other grants that I shared with you. Arissa says, I am, right. That's right, Arissa. Be the next $1.3 million grant winner. Absolutely. What is the link to register for the course? The link is dropped right into the chat along with the code. Lacey, send me an email. Ooh, direction to change LLC to 501c3. No, you won't be changing from an LLC to a 501c3. That's not the way it works. You can just start a 501c3, right? Your LLC, right? Because there are for-profits that start nonprofits, right? So as a for-profit, you can start a nonprofit. That's fine. You need to talk to an attorney, right? Or a tax professional. You don't change the LLC to a 501c3. You can start a 501c3, right? From your LLC. You can do that. You can do that. Spiritual base and health base. So health base, there are literally millions of dollars in grants available to people that work in the healthcare industry. Depends on what that means. That is a billion-dollar industry. So that could mean a lot. You're saying herbalism, spiritual base, you find funders, you do the grant research and you find funders who will fund that particular area. Remember I showed you Grant Station, that page? There's always a search box, right? For every one of those grant research portals, put herbalism in there, put health-based herbalism grants and see what comes up. The spiritual-based grants, again, there are organizations that will provide to faith-based, right? So within the area of faith-based, you can dig even deeper. So it's about the grant research, right? And that's why I give you support in the Facebook group and in the group coaching, so that when you are searching for those grants and you have questions or you come across a query, literally in the coaching group session, you come on, we will do a search, right? I can do a search with you, like live, like when you come into the group, so that I can see what you're talking about, right? So that's why I'm here to help, because I want you to get the money. And I know if you're new to it, sure, you need guidance. That's why I have support mechanisms for you. Right, so the website says $497. That's why you have to put in the discount code. The discount code will immediately take off $250. You have to put in the discount code. I'm going to show this one more time because a couple of people are asking about this. Let me share my screen really quickly. I want to show you so that you're not confused about this. So I'm going to go down to the end here. Right, so at the end, everyone can see the page. It says $497. You hit purchase. When you hit purchase, this screen will come up. To the left, it says have a coupon. It has a question. You click that and it will give you a space to put in the coupon code, and it will immediately take the price down to $247. Now, again, if you're making a 2-month payment, you don't need a code. You won't need a code. You will absolutely join the Facebook group today. Absolutely. Jimmy, somebody give Jimmy some love. Jimmy was serious when he said, I'm here to get grant money. Give Jimmy some love. Jimmy was serious. Thank you, Jimmy. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, yes, yes. That's what I like to see. I like for people to be serious about getting this money. Kim, everybody give Kim some love. Yes, Kim bought the course. Kim was serious when she said, I'm ready to get grant money. Give Kim some love. I will see you, Kim. I will see you, Jimmy, in the Facebook group. And yes, you will get interest to the Facebook group within the hour, right? You will gain interest and you will go in that Facebook group and you will be amazed at the amount of information. There are grants right now. There are grants right now that you can apply for. I put in a Progressive grant. Progressive is giving a free car to Black entrepreneurs. They're giving you $25,000 to purchase a free car as a Black entrepreneur. The Facebook group is amazing. It just is. That grant is in the Facebook group, by the way. Cortina says grants are real. The key to doing the work as instructed and following up. We need Linda. Thank you. She has passion. We are put on this earth to serve, and Linda is a good servant. Trying to make me cry, Cortina. Trying to bring those tears up. That is very important for me to hear you say that. I appreciate that. Because I do. I just want to see you win. I want to see you win. There's no way we can get through this life doing things just for us. There's no way. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work. Aretha with the fabulous name. People give Aretha some love. Aretha just bought the course. Aretha was serious. Okay, that's what I want to see, right? What I want you to do, and I'll say this one more time, please do something. Do something to move your organization forward. Do something, right? I would love for you to buy the course. I would love to serve as your coach. Absolutely. If you're not ready, do something. Do something to move your organization. I don't want you sitting here a month from now wondering why, how did that organization get a grant? They had the knowledge and they acted on it. That's how they got it. Okay. All right. I'm going to go quickly back to the Q&A, and then I think we're going to wrap everything up because we're done. All right. You will get a replay is coming at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Do you need a certificate of insurance for a nonprofit? That depends on what work you're in. That's part of that 501c3 application. I'm not a 501c expert, so I don't want to answer that question because I don't know it, but that will probably be addressed on the 501c3 application. But it's very possible that you might need insurance. Oftentimes, it depends, right, on what the organization is. So, for example, if you are a nonprofit that has a daycare center, you are going to need insurance, right? You're going to need insurance if you're taking care of other people's kids and you have a daycare center. So it depends on the organization. Does being a single member LLC decrease my chances? Absolutely not. No, it does not at all. Do I need employees to get a grant? I answered that question. You can literally have an all volunteer staff. I have an LLC. Is it different from a certificate? If you have a state, if it's from the state that you're living in, it will say across the top that it's from typically from the Secretary of State's office. Like, I know how the one from Ohio looks, but it should be a certificate that says whatever business you are, whether it's a sole proprietorship or an LLC, it has your name on it. Usually there's a fee. There's another document that is like an articles of incorporation. So call your Secretary of State's website and find out for sure. How do you become a grant writer? That's a great question. I have quite a few people who have taken the course and they've become professional grant writers because the course is so in-depth. It gives you what you need. And because I've been a grant writer for 15 years, I'm a coach. So they come to me with questions. I can help you get started with a grant writing business because I've been doing this for so long. So I can just point you in the right direction as to what you need to be able to do, because it is a needed profession. The professionals, right? There's a difference between writing a grant and being a professional grant writer. I say that all the time. There is a difference, right? I'm a professional grant writer. I belong to the Grants Professional Association. It means we adhere to certain ethical standards, right? And so if you're going to be a professional grant writer, you need to know what those standards are. All right. So that is it for the Q&A. And let me check one more time. Oh, Lacey says, thank you for this webinar. I was skeptical because people always throw webinars out there with no real value, but this was worth it. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. You gave us from Aretha, you gave us tons of value. I appreciate her integrity, credibility, and wealth of knowledge. Bless you. Thank you so much. I want to thank you again for coming on. I know you could have been elsewhere, but you decided to spend this hour and a half with me, almost 2 hours now. So I thank you so much. I hope to see you in the Facebook group. I hope to see you in the group coaching. I want to be able to help you move your organization forward. Thank you so much again. My name is Linda Peavy. I'm the founder of LaPave Consulting, LLC. And I am the founder of the course Grant Writing for Non-Writers, Keys to Winning Grant Proposals. And again, I wish you all the best moving forward. Thank you so much. God bless you and have a very safe day and safe weekend. All right. Bye-bye.